offices or online about the censorship of ideas and news on your platforms. And these are the things that have been at the forefront of Americans' minds in the lead up to the election, as well as the weeks since our 2020 general election. And, you know, the people that I hear from, of course, believe that conservatives were wrongfully being silenced, while those on the left that were given basically free reign of your platforms. And one of the points of contention that is often brought up is that you do recruit heavily from California, which leads to your employee base skewing quite heavily to the left. So my first question is for both of you. Do you have concerns about your ability to monitor disinformation on both sides of the political aisle equally, given that the majority of your employees typically do lean towards the more progressive side? And again, to both of you, have you taken any steps then at all to make your employee base more representative of the country as a whole when it comes to political affiliation? And Mr. Zuckerberg, if we could start with you, please.
Thank you, Senator. I think that this is those are both really important topics. In terms of assessing what is misinformation, I think it's important that we don't become the deciders on everything that is true or false ourselves, which is why we've tried to build a program of independent fact checkers that we can work with on this. And those fact checkers are accredited not by us, but by the Independent Pointer Institute for Journalism as part of the International Fact-Checking Network. And it includes fact checkers that I think span the political spectrum, as well as I think the majority of them who would call themselves apolitical. So we've tried to address the issue of making sure that there isn't a bias in our actions by actually having us not be the deciders on that type of content ourselves. And to your second question about taking steps to diversify the employee base, this is a sensitive area in that I don't think it would be appropriate for us to ask people on the way in as they were interviewing what their political affiliation is, which of course makes it hard to know what the actual breakdown of the company is on this. But one of the areas where I'm more optimistic over time is I think we're going to see more people working remotely around the country and also around the world, which will mean that fewer people and smaller percent of our employees will have to come to the cities and areas like the Bay Area where our headquarters is, and we'll be able to employ an increasing number of people across all of the different geographies in the country.
Very good, thank you. And Mr. Dorsey?
First and foremost, the most important thing is that we build systems and frameworks independent of any one particular employee or individual at our company. And included in that system are checkpoints. Checkpoints to make sure that we are removing any bias that we find, checkpoints to do QA and monitoring of all the decisions that we make, having an appeals process, which is an external checkpoint on whether we made the correct enforcement action or not. So we want to build something that's independent of the people that we hire, and that is our focus, building a system. Second, like Mark, I'm really excited that we are at a stage where we can decentralize our company even more, that we do not need people to move to San Francisco, that we can hire people all over the country. They can stay where they want to be, wherever they feel most creative. And that's not just in this country, it's around the world. And I think the tools are in a state where we can do that more easily. We've obviously been forced to do it with COVID. And I don't think it's a state that we will return from. With the days of having one centralized, massive corporate headquarters in any one particular city are certainly over for us, at least, and I think many other entrepreneurs starting companies today.
Yeah, very good. I really appreciate that, and I think that COVID has taught us all a very important lesson. And for those to be able to work remotely, I think you will find greater diversity in thought, which is very important.